Welcome back to the news at 10. As part of efforts to reduce cases of extrajudicial killings by the police, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Solomon Arase, plans to import stun guns for police officers. The police boss at a press conference in Abuja told journalists that allegations of extrajudicial killings by police officers has reduced in the last 1 year, a development he is working to sustain. He has directed that psychological tests be carried out on officers who handle firearms before they are allowed to go on patrol.
I say nobody, no Nigerian is immune to the criminal justice system. You kill any Nigerian, you go in for it. And that has been my approach towards it. And about 7 officers since that pronouncement have been, they are presently undergoing, prosecution. And it has reduced. The incidences have reduced, but we have not stopped there. I also talked about applying psychological tests. The medical doctors in each of the geopolitical zones, I have directed that they should move out. So once people they parade them, they want to go on duty, before we give them firearms, we could do some snap checks. That one is supposed to act as a psychological prevention for what will happen, because if you know I'm going to test you for the use of substance, the likelihood is that you will not want to do that, and if we discover that you use it, then we will not give you firearms. Secondly, we are beginning to migrate from the use of firearms in patrols in main cities to stun guns. We've ordered for some stun guns. Even the people we are going to recruit now, the main training we are going to give to them is going to be especially in stun guns. That is what is prevalent internationally. And stun guns are very effective because they can incapacitate you, temporarily without killing you. So we're also doing that too. So I think the incidences are reduced.
Inspector General of Police, Mr. Solomon Arase. While religious and traditional rulers in Kaduna State and the country in general have been advised to instill the spirit of unity and togetherness among their followers and subjects, as this will help reduce ethno-religious conflicts that have ravaged many parts of the country. The General Officer commanding one division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Adeniyi Oyebade, gave the advice at a forum organized by the Correspondence Chapel of the Kaduna State Council of Nigeria Union of Journalists.
The presence of heads of security agencies in Kaduna State, religious and opinion leaders and journalists underscores the importance of this gathering in the achievement of peace and development in the state. They are here to identify the causes of religious conflicts in the country and how they can be addressed. The General Officer commanding one division of the Nigerian Army is appealing to Nigerians, irrespective of religious differences, to move the country forward in terms of infrastructure development and cordial relationship is being practiced in other parts of the world. He is also asking media practitioners to sensitize the public on religious and ethnic matters so that there can be sustainable ethno-religious harmony in the country.
I believe strongly that everybody here has a role to play. Today, we have a Mr. President that the generality of Nigerians believe in. We believe this man can make a difference in our lives. And what are those differences? Food security, housing, good infrastructure. I want to be able to travel from here to Lagos or to Sokoto to Maiduguri on a super highway. Most of us have traveled abroad. It's not magic. The people who made it happen, they are not better than you and I. In fact, I dare say that we are far better than them. But we refuse to put our house in order. And that's the challenge we face.
Mr. Chris Umar is standing in for Governor Nasir El-Rufai, who says its administration is committed to the promotion of peace and security in Kaduna State.
We have identified that without the safety of lives and properties, without adequate security in Kaduna, investors cannot come, and if investors do not come, employment cannot be generated. So the majority of our graduates that we have graduating every year in Kaduna will not be able to have meaningful or gainful employment.
Ethno-religious conflicts have created an atmosphere of disunity in Nigeria, apart from the loss of thousands of lives and property worth billions of naira. This is why a forum like this conference is very important, as it will afford stakeholders to engage themselves in robust discussions that could bring about measures to address these challenges.
States internally generated revenue stood at 682.7 billion naira in 2015, representing a 3.69% decline from the 707.9 billion naira recorded in 2014. Now, the drop comes despite the recent drive by the states to increase their revenue following the recent drop in oil prices. Our correspondent, Chimeze Obiwago, has more in this next report.
This data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that Lagos, Rivers, Delta and Ogun states were the top 4 states that recorded the highest internally generated revenue for the 2015 fiscal year. However, the data reveals that these states, with the exception of Ogun State, ironically recorded a drop in their IGR when compared with the 2014 figures.
What we've done first, we established Revenue Monitoring Committee and Task Force to block all the leakages and these airports to increase our IGR during the period under review.
11 out of the 36 states recorded an increase in their revenue generation. Interestingly, states such as Taraba and Borno shored up their revenue despite the Boko Haram insurgency that ravaged them in the year under review.
We have also had several meetings with trade unions. We decided to invite them, to dialogue with them, reach agreements. Some of them who were hitherto resistant to tax payments, we were able to dialogue with them, convince them for the need for them to pay their taxes, because our state is a peculiar state.
According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the informal sector accounts for 48% of the economy, and many say it could turn into a vital revenue source for states, particularly with the current tax regime.
The common agreement among all economics is that, look, explore the tax base, not the amount you charge, but the base, so that at least you bring more people in the tax net so that you can generate more revenue for the nation.
Authorities in Lagos, a city of 21 million, are sending officers on street patrols to register entrepreneurs and make them pay tax for the first time. But they face huge challenges. Like this hairdresser, most entrepreneurs spend what they earn to survive without keeping records of their income.
I don't really know how much I make, because any money I make, either I use it for school fees, use it to take care of one thing or the other. So I don't really know how much I make.
The economy is down and they come around asking for revenue bills and we end up not giving them, and it seems the frequency is increasing. I don't know why. They keep on coming more than they used to, and we discover we're not able to actually give them what they want.
There is also the problem of multiple taxation as the states struggle to increase their revenue base.
I have been a victim of it, and I'm still a victim of multiple taxation. You have several organizations coming to ask that you pay personal tax, you pay all kinds of tax that some you don't even know their names.
Taxation may not just be the only means of revenue generation. Many believe if states can put their natural resources into efficient use, perhaps the total figure for the state's IGR might increase in 2016. Chimeze Obiwago, Channels Television News.
Well, joining me now to talk more about this is Mr. Folusho Fashotun. He is the former president Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, and the current president, Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria. Good evening to you, and thank you for joining me on the news.
Yeah, good evening.
So, listening to that report and looking at the figures, because I'm sure you've looked at those numbers as well, what do you think is responsible for the low performance that we saw recorded in 2015?
Basically, the problem had been the low attention paid to taxation by all the states in Nigeria. Taxation is law. How many states in Nigeria do have the revenue collection establishment law? We have less than 50% of states having such a law. Without law, there cannot be taxation. If the federal government should enact law to impose taxation, states are to collect some of these taxes allocated to them by the Constitution. But without proper procedure spelled out by the law, then you will now come to disorderly collection of taxes.
But then that's just one way of raising, revenue for the state. Although it is a very huge one for the states to raise revenue. What other ways should the states be exploring at this time, especially since we also see that monies coming from the federation accounts are dwindling?
Yeah, I'm happy. One of the contributors there mentioned increasing the tax base. You have a withholding tax system in Nigeria, which is an advance payment of income tax in the country. So many states of Nigeria are not exploring that avenue because if you collect income, you may decide not to pay tax on it if the law exempts such from taxation. But you cannot just hold your money without spending it. And in the course of spending this, then you have to come under withholding tax system. And with withholding tax system, you will have information provided to the tax authority.
So
with this information, the tax authority can increase and expand its tax base.
Okay.
And once it increases its tax base, then there will be more revenue for the government.
So, Mr. Fashoton, away from taxes is what we want to know.
Yep.
Apart from taxes, what other strategies can states come up with right now to boost their revenues?
Well, let me correct one impression. Taxation is the mainstay, is the major source of income for every government. Now, apart from tax, you are having non-tax revenue. You are having revenue to be collected from tourism. You are having revenue to be collected from facilities provided by government. You are having revenue from so many amenities abound within the states, some natural, some human. So these are the areas that states can employ.
Mr. Fashoton, thank you so much for coming on News at 10.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's talk more business now and go over to our business studios where Anne Nwawodo is standing by.
Hello, welcome to Business News. The Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria has clarified that its rules on certification requirements for professionals in financial statements processes of companies do not contravene that of Companies and Allied Matters Act. Speaking on a weekend program, Capital Market, the chief executive of the council, Mr. James Obaze, explains that the FRC conditions have been introduced to complement that of Companies and Allied Matters Act. And the Securities and Exchange Commission has assured farmers in Nigeria of its readiness to protect the interests of persons who may wish to go into large-scale farming through effective regulation. The Commodity Exchange Program addressing a forum of farmers in Abuja. The Director General of the Commission, Mr. Munir Gwarzo, says there is a need for the nation to reduce its dependence on oil as a major revenue earner through diversification of the economy. The manager of the African Exchange Program and convener of the forum, Mr. Ayodimeji Balogun, expressed optimism about a better deal for Nigerian farmers. A turnover of 885.367 million shares worth 5.829 billion naira in 13,870 deals were traded this week by investors on the floor of the exchange. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 747.817 million shares valued at 3.832 billion naira and traded in 8,768 deals. The NSE All-Share Index and market capitalization appreciated by 0.53% to close the week at 24,850.11 and 8.548 trillion naira respectively. All other indices finished higher during the week, with the exception of the NSE Consumer Goods Index, NSE Oil and Gas Index, and NSE Littles Index that declined by 0.83%, 0.73%, and 0.77% each. Tiger-branded consumer goods led 35 other price gainers for the week as it moved up by 20.87% to close at 2 naira 78 kobo per share. On the flip side, 32 stocks dropped in price, led by Law Union and Rock, with 18.03% to 50 kobo per share. And that ends business news for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Omawadu. Back to you, Harriet.
Thank you, Anne. Next on the news at 10, German Chancellor Angela Merkel and top EU officials visit migrant camp on the Turkish-Syrian border. To stay with us.